All right, what's up, guys? It's been quite some time since I went ahead and did a weekly or a daily recap video. Now, I didn't place too many trades here today, but I want to go ahead and discuss a big trade that happened here for probably a majority of prop firm traders, I would like to state. We had a very huge breakout on gold here, go from Sunday 6 p.m. Eastern, right open into basically Monday. We got a wild gap up, and a lot of people. It's interesting because a lot of people, for some reason they're putting like political beliefs and things that are kind of happening around the world for the reason why gold is ripping the way that it is. And in my opinion, you can go ahead and try to get into the politics of what's going on in Iran, what's happening with the Fed, what's going on with like Trump. You can go ahead and go into the politics of all that if you want to try to decipher if that was the reason or if it wasn't. But at the end of the day, the reason why we broke out the way that we did is because gold was already relatively strong, and we broke out of this little, diagonal line that I have going across. We got a dip under. It got soaked out of support area on Friday, and then we opened up here with a gap on Sunday into Monday, absolutely ripping its face, leaving a gap. Not a very big gap, but still a gap here. And I know a lot of traders who absolutely murdered it. Trading GC to the upside. It was absolutely a fantastic setup. I did not trade this. I was definitely looking at it, and I was like, how am I supposed to get into this, bro? Like, I'm not a big fan of, like, getting into trades when futures markets are gapped. Like, because I usually feel like futures markets like to fill them. But at some point, like, when this thing started going up, like, 1% on in the overnight session, I was like, yeah, bro, it's not coming back. Like, it's not coming back. So, there was beautiful setups across VWAP. Obviously, every time it breached under, it soaked it, which is a telltale sign that this is very strong. So GC was really good. Broke out all-time highs. Didn't close at all-time highs, but still a really good setup here. Now we have silver as well. Silver with another breakout. The thing about silver is basically a flat top breakout. If you watch Ariel Hernandez, you know that he loves flat top breakouts, and this is essentially what it was. Kind of the same as gold, really. You could have drew that same line across, but for me, it would have just been better to use this as the actual breakout level, and then you take it, and anything under is a stop. So good if above 82, 824, bad if under. And that's exactly probably what he would say as well. If he was, he's a swing trader, but still, you could clearly see that metals are not trying to give up. These things are really strong. There is no point of fighting it. So don't do it. Honestly, just don't do it. Just wait. Because look, I'm going to be completely honest, guys. If you are trading, metals or anything like that, when the tape changes, it's going to show. Like, the tape will show its hand. You have so many people preemptively trying to short silver, gold, you have like palladium, platinum, whatever. And you have people trying to short like all of these commodities and things like that. And I'm sitting back like, but why? It's not even close. It doesn't even, the signs are not there that it's done yet. The moment that this flush candle on the right side happened.
By Delta One.
Let me close my investors on the ground really quick. The moment this right side, the daily chart flushed, and we did not stay heavy, the very next day we caught a rebid, and then the very next day after that we flushed out just to hold. That should be a telltale sign, guys, that this is not going to just give up. It's not just going to go ahead and let go. It's not going to be an easy short. Even if you were someone who likes to wait for the character change and for it to go sub previous day lows, this didn't really offer a great setup here. Yeah, futures, you could have made, a bit of money, but if you pulled up like SLV on this day, what was that looking like? Look at how this stuff looks, guys. Like, in what way, does this even look attractive? Like, it just, to me, it doesn't make sense. I think that the time is coming, guys. I'm not going to sit here and lie. Look, this is not financial advice. This is not buy or sell recommendations. I lose every single day when I trade. I just want to make sure you guys know that. So whatever I say, just understand that my bias is switch on a dime. I could say something and the following day I have a completely different point of view on what's going on in the market. But realistically, guys, like this, like, bro, this is not something that you just get into hoping that you're going to be right shorting. Like, it does not make sense to me. Let the signs show. Because it's very clear, man. This thing is hugging on a tightrope, that daily 10 SMA. It is hugging it. Like, on a super... It's right here. It's this line right here. It's going to keep showing my cloud. But this daily 10 SMA, it is on a tightrope. Don't hop in it. Do not be on the front side of this trade if you are trying to short. It will show its hand eventually. You can wait on it. ES. ES was really interesting. I want to show ES rather than SPY. And the reason why I want to show ES rather than SPY is because I actually loved the way that this set up. Now, unfortunately, I didn't trade this as well. But I loved the way that this kind of dripped out all in the Sunday session into the morning. Dipped on the previous day lows. Soaked. Higher low. Ripped above. Anywhere in here, guys, is such a high. You know, this is a prime long. Like, we're in a relatively strong market where things are breaking out, right? We're at all-time highs. Anything that's not failing and holding below its previous day low is a very good dip buy opportunity. Like, as long as it holds and it builds that higher low structure, you're looking at, I mean, multiple R's in this trade, depending on how you want to trade it. And it never really looked back. You know, it never looked back. So I was a big fan of that setup. Unfortunately, did not trade it. Remember, it's futures. I just didn't dabble in it. I should have dabbled in it, but I mean, I wasn't up at 4 a.m., 3 a.m. You know, I wasn't even up at 6. So, well, I had just woke up at 6, to be honest. But neither here or there. And I want to go ahead and also state that the reason why I'm doing these recaps, and you're going to see me talk about these patterns and things like that, is because I want to be able to look at these videos and see what were the best setups. What patterns was I looking at? What were the daily charts looking like, you know, in these trades? Why did I say that this was a good setup? You know, all of these things is something that I want to pay attention to, which is actually why, selfishly, I'm going to start doing these recaps more than likely every single day. Even if it's a no trade day for me, I want to make sure that I bust out these daily recaps on overall market sentiment, because I think it's imperative for me to go over these charts, because it kind of will help with constantly seeing the same patterns play out. You know, you start understanding price action a lot more, and you start seeing the overall sentiment. So that way, when these things come, listen, the market is it's not simple, but everything happens over and over and over and over again. Like, price action that's happened hundreds of years ago still happens nowadays. I have Jesse Livermore's How to Reminiscent of a Stock Operator, and a lot of these patterns and trades, you know, it's a different time, but it plays out in the same way. It plays out in the same factor. So this is why I want to go over it, so that I can always go back, look at these charts, and say, okay, this day coincides with, you know, X day in the future, and this is how I could correlate them. You know, so that's honestly a big reason why I am really trying to do these daily recaps now. But as I stated, really good move. We had this strong surge. The only way that honestly you get in this position is over this 6995s where we started to soak. I have that as kind of a demand area up here, as you can see on the daily, right? A little bit of a demand. You can see all these wicks on the bottom, like one wick here, one wick here, one wick here. You guys see that. So I like this area for the possible long. There was definitely some relative strength behind this. SPY was also pretty attractive. Kind of same move. You know, 930 came in straight out the gate. If you wanted to be really risky, you could choose to get into this trade immediately out of the pre-market, you know, high break, which is this red line, with your risk to previous day lows. I don't know how you would want to size into that. It's a point off. You know, it's a point and like 60-some change off. But you definitely get multiple R's out of that, guys. I mean, this is like 3R, depending on when you want to get out that trade. So, You never know. I just know this market is very, very strong right now, and SPY is looking very, very clean. You also have QQQ, which still has not managed to break out. Are we looking at a flat top breakout? Who knows, right? Clearly, QQQ has to get over this, 630-ish level, start building, and then get that nice surge. I do think we're gonna gap fill for sure. Now, I say for sure, and watch us not do that. But I think that there's a good opportunity. The problem is that we have the ruling on the tariffs coming up. We have CPI and PPI this week, so things can really get, very, very interesting. Give me 1 second here while I get a quick drink of water, because I am yapping a lot. So just give me 1 second. Had to mute my mic. I didn't want you guys hearing me gulp down water. But yeah, so if QQQ wants to just do a flat top breakout over 630s and then like really catch some steam at the end of the week, I mean, that's definitely a plausible and possible, reality of what the market can do. Honestly, like this should not be a surprise to anybody. The QQQs is doing pretty well, which also leads to what is really ripping this up. And we have TSM performing really well. Another all-time high break. This does look like a double top currently, but did put in an intraday high. We have Google also outperforming with another all-time high. You have what else do we have this doing relatively well? I believe ASML's doing really well. Let me pull up ASML really quick. To think I own this name sub $700 and I sold up here somewhere. Like, to think. And I thought I was a genius doing that. To think that I had this name from down here and sold up here. Like, oh my God. Whenever you think like you have a good trade, the market will say, nope, that could have been even better. So, ASML obviously on a ripper. What did SNDK do today? I didn't really pay attention too much on that. Oh, lo and behold, another all-time high. Who would have thought, right? Who would have thought? We had MU chopping all day today. Chopping made an all-time high, but do we get another flat top breakout here? Look at this range that it pulled in. It's gonna be very, very interesting for tomorrow. I would assume, as a betting man, this is probably gonna go higher. Let's just be so realistic about that. We had Western Digital, right? Western Digital. What is Western Digital's? Is it WD? Western Digital, yeah. WDC. Western Digital, look at this. Looking like it wants to go for all-time highs again. I mean, we know where the market's placing its money, right? It's definitely not in Microsoft, I'll tell you that. Microsoft is living under the 200 daily moving average. It's looking very, very kind of ugly. Kind of has that bear flaggy look. Let me extend this to the right so you guys can see. Kind of looks like it wants to break down. I have some price alerts of interest, places that interest me. Really, I would love this gap fill. If this gap does get filled on Microsoft, you bet your ass I'm going to load up on a bunch of option contracts as long as market conditions allow. And I am going to ride out some long-term Microsofts if that presents itself. But this is a beautiful like little double top. I really like this. I wish I had taken this trade. Unfortunately, I did not. I want to make sure I kind of keep a mental, snapshot in my mind of how this looked. I always want to be able to look back at this video and say, look, double top, end of day double top, 200 SMA rejection, Microsoft failing previous day highs. There's multiple things here, right? Like if you wanted to trade this, how do you trade this? Well, in the morning, you get kind of a double top exhaustion. You don't have to trade this. You don't even have to be a part of this trade right here. You can wait for it to actually fail, pop, and now that this fails again and it holds under previous day highs, you can kind of just ride this out all the way down here. You put your stop, like when this fails here, you put your stop up here, keep it tight. So we're looking at somewhere like let's say you get like right here 4769 63. Your stop's at 480s. What is that, about 40 cents? You got like a 40-cent risk, and then you get like what, a couple of points out of this? A point and some change. I can't complain about that. I think that's a pretty decent, and you could actually just scalped your way your whole way through this whole day. Like honestly, like you could have just scalped previous day highs all day. Then you get this last minute surge, fails to follow through. Same concept. Wait until it breaks under previous day highs. Use the previous candlestick as your guide, and then it flushes out. Good trade in my opinion. Definitely going to keep that in the back of my mind when I am looking at Microsoft. Another good opportunity, weirdly, was Google. And I say weirdly because it had this outrageous surge on the day. And then it gave it like all back. So, well, how do you play this, right? Well, the way that I would play this is the moment we let go of previous day highs, I would probably go ahead and try to put my stop about right here. I would size in for this. Like, I would size in accordingly, right? Accordingly, you go ahead and you kind of put a stop at this candle, assuming that there's no pops that's going to come in. You get short here. And what is this? This is about a point. This is a point risk. And you make about, 2-3 points depending on. So this is easily a 2R trade for you. If you hold all the way through, it's 3R. But ultimately, I actually seen this set up properly. And I really liked how this looked. Like this little long setup right here. I really liked how that looked. Because it held the pre-market highs. It soaked it. So all dips that hold this and don't break that trend line, hold pre-market highs and doesn't break the trend line, I actually like this better. Your stop is tight, right? Your stop is tight here, and you're able to get a nice surge. I mean, this is multiple Rs. I mean, 4 or 5 Rs here. So this is actually, I like the long on this play better than the short, and I actually seen this set up the way that it did. So really was a fan of that intraday action. I want to make sure I snapshot. I keep a snapshot in my mind of how this looked because these patterns will go ahead and show themselves again. It doesn't have to be on the same name, but things like this happens all the time. So I really liked how that looked intraday. I really also like PLTR's intraday setup. PLTR was really interesting, and the reason why I liked it was because you get this kind of rip up, fall down, pop, fail, holds previous day highs. I have no problem if you wanted to long it and then take off into VWAP. And the reason why I say VWAP is because that's awfully close to the 50 daily moving average. But you get this surge over. Think about this, right? Think about anyone who shorted here, right? And is trying to hold for this down move. Well, the real thing that you should have been really looking for is a multiple retest, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with getting in here and then having this come up as long as you're not going to stop out here. But I really like how this kind of came down, popped back up. Anyone who was short here probably stopped out by a couple of cents. The moment that this candle rejected and we went sub the daily 50, so this candle right here, I love all shorts here based with my risk slightly above here, right? So if you're trading this, I like the break here. Your stop is up here, and you get a amazing roll down back to previous day's close. You want to be, me personally, I'm a profit taker anytime we get sub previous day, because I don't want this to soak up, guys. Like if you look left, I don't want this area to be a soak spot. So I always will cover a portion of my position and leave a portion on, and I'll cover the rest. But this is a nice 50 daily moving average reject. Also held under VWAP. So, even if you don't catch this move, it pops again. You could catch it sub VWAP, and you get a beautiful little retracement on PLTR. I really like that pattern. I like the way that kind of played out for a nice little momentum short. Intel was also a really good little INTC. Little opportunity here. I like the way that this set up. It kind of was head and shoulder-ish. You get this pop up, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and this is pre-market highs. Soon as pre-market highs start to fail to follow through, and also VWAP fails to follow through, you can easily catch a good short, and you get a nice little wash. It also bear flagged as well. Really good trade. I know you guys see that. This trade does happen quite often. I do love bear flags and head and shoulder patterns on intraday setups. So I don't really have to remember this. Like, this is just something I know that we'll set up sometime in the future again. Yet again, it doesn't have to be on a certain name or anything like that. I just really liked how that looked. We also had, let's talk about some long opportunities, because I really did like NVDA for a long as well. I don't want to just go over shorts. NVDA was a nice long op. I really liked it because it's the same concept as the SPY's previous day lows, right? So we know that NVIDIA has just been kind of like choppy in range. You could tell by this price action on the daily. This thing pulls back, you know, from going and testing previous day highs, failing that 50 daily moving average. It pulls all the way back to previous day lows. Now, there's several things you can go ahead and do. You could draw trend lines, right? You can do one of these, you know, kind of wait for that break, you know. You have that. But me, I'm a fan of, like, you know, doing this. Like, I'll take the underlying trend. So it'll be like this. Let me pull up the 930 candle. And I will kind of just drag this way. And that's how I actually like doing it. I don't like doing the overheads. Because I don't like how you wait for the break. You know, I just feel like that's... You know, some people will take this, you know, it breaks out here. Some people will use this as a stop and catch this surge, and then they'll be like, oh, well, I made, you know, a bunch of R's or whatever. I'm sure you can do that, but I'm more of a fan of if this thing is going to pull back to previous day lows, I want this to be my stop, and I want to put a shit ton of size here, because this is literally like 12 cents of risk. So I want to make sure that I put a shit ton of size. And then you can ride this to VWAP, and you're easily making 5R literally on this trade. I mean, this is like 12 cents, guys. You're risking about 12, 20 cents, something like that, if you catch it in this area. And you're making like a point and some change. You know, maybe 2 points, depending on how much size you get in and how much you're willing to hold. Like, you can get several R's, and this is the way that I like trading it. So I love this setup. Previous day low holds. We hold the daily 20 SMA. We get back above VWAP. Of course, you guys know me. I'm a profit taker to VWAP, so I really like taking maybe 80% at VWAP and then leaving 20 on to run to see how well it does. And then my stop basically goes back to break even. And, you know, so there's a good chance I would have been able to catch like a shit ton of this move. But that's how I would have traded NVIDIA. And I think that's probably the last intraday trade that I really liked here. So that's all I have for you guys today. Really, the purpose of this is just for me to be able to go back, look at certain patterns, look at certain market conditions, and see how everything performed. That way, selfishly, while I'm helping you guys out, I selfishly help my own self out, because I could be like, okay, well, when did I see this pattern? Oh, I seen this pattern on 1/12/2026. Here was an NVIDIA failure. This happened, you know, in the same kind of market context. And, you know, this pattern played out here. So if I see it again, I can correlate the two. That's why I want to keep doing these videos and kind of go over the macro thoughts and the micro intraday trades as well. So that way, you guys as viewers can understand the patterns that I look for, as well as get the kind of macro overview that like a Ariel Hernandez does, a Kunal does, a Chris from IU, you know, whoever, like several people who do like these macro kind of chart moves, you know, or kind of macro chart theses. So I wanted to be able to basically knock out both, right? I want to talk about the macros, and then I want to talk about the intraday setups, how I would have traded them if I was to have been in the trade, and yeah. So that's basically to help me. Also, hopefully will help you guys out, where I would take trades and things of that nature. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Remember, guys, there is CPI, PPI, and the judge ruling on whether tariffs were illegal or not. So be safe. Don't rush trades. Let them come into your wheelhouse. We have plenty of time. Seems like the market is very range bound right now. Even though we are breaking out of all-time highs and things, it's just barely doing it. So stay patient. See what the market's going to do. Don't rush anything. And please don't let politics change your price action bias. Please don't allow that. I see that happening all the time, especially with these, you know, these prop firm guys. I'm seeing a lot of that, you know, happen across the board, and there's no need. Let the price action dictate what you do, and put your political biases aside. All right, guys, stay safe, and that's all I have. Later.